Hey, and welcome back to my craft room. This is the third and final card in my November Christmas season class by mail. It's probably one of my favourite designs for this year. I've used it a couple of times. I think my fun fold for November had a similar design in it as well. Just going to close this blind because that hasn't moved, that shadow. That shadow's coming through the break in my blind, so it's not helping if I close the blinds. I just have to put up with that little shadow there for a while, unfortunately. Hopefully it won't stop you from seeing what we're doing. This is actually a gift card holder. It's really quite, I'm so glad I found it this year on Pinterest, where I usually cruise for ideas. It's just a single card base, it's just a flat piece of card, but the opening up here is like that, and then this little pocket down here is where your gift card goes, and it's just really, really nice. It's a card. You could just leave it as a card without the gift card part, pop it in an envelope. It's just a little bit different, and you've got lots and lots and lots and lots of panels that you can decorate and get the most out of your wonderful Christmas stamp sets. So I'll pop that away. I've already got the bits and bobs out for this one because there was just so much to it. I didn't want to have to spend time going through it all, trying to fish them out from each other in the pack. But I'll go through them for you now. This is Cherry Cobbler, my favourite Christmas red. This card base is 4 1/8 by 5 1/2, so it's slightly shorter than my normal, which usually goes to 5 3/4, but this is 5 1/2 long and 4 1/8 high. You've got a piece of designer series paper from the pack. Now, everybody has got, nearly everybody has this particular design, but after I'd cut, 16, 12, 15 card kits, or 15 times 2, so it was 30 cards. I'd run out of the original designer series paper, so I've got an alternate here, which is quite just as nice. Probably not quite. It's probably a little bit brighter than the original. So that's 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card base. So that's 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. There is a hole in the middle there. Don't panic. You've got the piece here that fits the jigsaw. Okay, we're going to use that to decorate our card. It's just such a shame, since we're going to bring the little gift card part in there. Obviously, you're not going to see that gap that I've cut there, and it's a shame to hide that pretty paper behind the scenes. So you've got that there. You've got a sort of the gift card itself is again Cherry Cobbler cardstock. It's 8 1/4 long by 3. I've got to remind myself now. 3 7/8 wide, and it's scored 2 3/4 inches from each end. So start from that end and score 2 3/4. Start from that end and score in 2 3/4. And now the reason I've done that is because the cardstock is actually, as an A4 width, is actually a little bit bigger than 3 and a little bit bigger than 8 1/4. So when you fold them over, they fold over nicely and sit flat. If you used exactly the right width, 3 lots of 2 3/4, it would bunch up. So you need that little bit of extra space so it can fold in on itself and fold flat. Sorry, I've said that really, really badly. It's a full width of an A4 piece, and it's scored at 2 3/4 from each end. That's all you need to know. That's what that one is. Okay, so you've got that. Then we've got our various bits and bobs for decorating, which I'll bring them in as we use them, but this is the fundamental parts of the card base. Okay, so we might as well get assembling this one. Okay, so you've got your frame of designer series paper that I've cut there, cut a hole in. So you just basically want to add that. You might like that side. If you've got this particular one, you might like that side better, but I think I like the other side because it's got the red in it. So just pop some glue around the edge and pop that on the card base. So you're going to have an 1/8 of an inch all the way around, because it's cut 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card. Okay, so then what we're going to do is obviously bring this one into the centre. We might decorate it first before we stick it down. So before you start, if you just get your orientation right around this particular piece, this middle panel here is the one that's going to be stuck to your card base. So the glue is going to go on the reverse of that. So the bottom of the U, I suppose you'd call it, as if that's a U shape. It's on the bottom of that. So keep that in mind. That's our orientation there. So for the centre, so the very centre where it sort of looks up to the sky, we've got a panel of basic white. So I might as well pop that. Glue stuff to the centre box. We might glue that in now, and then we can work around it. We'll know where we are. So that one goes just smack bang in the middle there. So we can work around that. So that would be where you would write your message, to Bob from Mum, or whatever you happen to want to write, or stamp another sentiment, something like that. So that's that one there. Okay, so for where the gift card is going to sit is this one here below the white panel, so this one that sits towards you. And so for that one, we've got a few things we've got. You've got another piece of cherry cobbler, which is basically cut, I think it's 2 inches by 3 3/3, and I've cut that little triangle out with my tailored punch. So basically just bring my tailored punch in, sort of get it sort of lined up with the very edge, so it cuts just the edge, even sort of top and bottom and thick, and that brings out that little, I love that tailored punch. If you haven't got it, it's really handy for so many things. I use it for bannering and stuff like that as well, and it's even good as a tailored punch. So that one's going to sit on the bottom there. It's just got a tiny gap around the edge. And just as a little bit of extra decoration, we've got this evening evergreen here. That's been through that wonderful pine needle embossing folder that I talked about before. And it fits. It's got the same sort of cutout in there, and it fits pretty much what should fit in the middle of your little cherry cobbler, just to give it a little bit of detail, because otherwise it would disappear into the card base. So it's going to sit there like that. There's a little bit of additional detail just to draw the eye to your gift card. The insert that we took out of the middle of that original piece of designer series paper, I'm actually going to pop that on the card, just behind everything, so just on there. And then these two will sit on top like this. And I think that just gives you your gift card. I've got one here somewhere that I usually use as a demonstration. That gives your gift card a little bit more, even, a little bit more emphasis. I'll try and find it. Here it is. So somehow you've got your gift card here. It's going to slip down in there. But when it's not in there, you've got that pretty colour of the designer series paper behind it. So we might do those now. So I'm going to put the designer series paper down first, because it's forming our backing. So make it sure that it's going to be slightly more narrower than your card base, but so make sure that the gap is the same top and sides, just so that, and you've got a slightly larger gap at the bottom. So the same gap between the score and the paper and the top and the sides, and then a slightly larger gap at the bottom, because it's going to be covered by these as well anyway. So I'm going to grab my embossed panel, put some glue on the back of that, pop that onto our gift card pocket, just like that. So line up your 2 V's. There we are. And then grab some very thin double-sided tape, or some very, very thin glue. So if you're going to glue this onto here, remember you have to put your gift card in there, okay? And there's not a lot of gap around it. So you need to keep your glue very, very fine on the edge, or use very, very thin double-sided tape. That's what I'm actually going to use. I'm going to use the double-sided tape because it sticks immediately. So I just want to stick it very, very, very close to the edges, at least the 2 side edges anyway, because that's going to make our gift card fit nice and snugly and not wobble and fall out. So just right along the edge, like that. And then, of course, if you decide not to use it as a gift card, or you're going to put a dollar bill or something in there, you wouldn't have to worry too much, because you can fold those up or if you've got a voucher that that you can fold over, you really wouldn't have to worry too much. But if you're using the plastic like debit card, gift cards, you probably do have to be a little bit careful and stick to the edges of the cardstock. Itchy nose. Okay, so we're going to bring this in and pop it, as I say, same distance, top, bottom and sides, onto there. There we go. So that's where our little gift card, popped it down. That's where our little gift card is going to fit in there. Just like that. Push it down so you can close it, of course. There we are. Just like that. I might leave that out. Give it time to stick properly. Okay, so we've got our greeting. We've got our gift card itself. So that's going to fold over like that. And the top's going to fold over like that. So this is the panel that we need to decorate next. So you find you've got a little, another embossed again with the beautiful pine needles. This is crumb cake cardstock. We're just going to add that straight to the top. If I can find my glue down. So just some glue or double-sided tape, whichever you want. It's a fairly heavily embossed folder, but it's not too bad. It's still lots of areas for the glue to stick to. So that's there. That's just really nice. I like that. And then we're going to bring in our beautiful pine needles and things that we had like with our second card. And I've done them all already, so you don't have to sit and watch me stamp, but this is basically what I've got. I've got 2 little pine cones again, so stamp those in the crumb cake and the early espresso like we did with the first video. So we've got 2 of those. You can bring in one of the larger ones if you like. There's definitely room on the front of that for one of the larger pine cones. I have 2 of the, we haven't used this leaf before. It's this leaf here. I just like to use as many of the things in the stamp set as I can. And this one is in Old Olive. I think my Old Olive stamps ink pad needs re-inking because it's a little bit pale. Looks more like Pear Pizzazz, but that's definitely Old Olive. I've got 2 of the pine needles. I'll get that right by the time I finish these videos. 2 of the pine needles, and they are in Evening Evergreen. And I've got just 1 lot of the berries. I'm going to actually cut them up and use them separately just because I only want them smattered around the front. So I've just got the 4 berries all die cut, and that's in Cherry Cobbler again. Okay, so very similar to the middle card. I'll be hoping that I would design something a bit different next time. So we'll get Christmas out of the way and then we'll go mad with our other designs. This is very similar to the design we popped on the first one. I'm trying to find my original so I don't stray too far. But here it is. Okay, so what we're going to do is, here's one I haven't got. We'll see if I need it. I'll do it in a second. I'm going to, again, stamp our sentiment box with our Evening Evergreen. And again, I'm going to use the Holly Jolly sentiment just because it fits that sentiment box so lovely, so well. I'm just going to keep using it until Christmas is over. Yeah, have a Holly Jolly Christmas. Okay, and then again, I'm going to just glue that straight onto the front of our card. It's not sitting up a bit funny, so I thought I'd try and lay it flat. Just glue that on. So this time it's going to be over to the right-hand side and slightly above centre. So probably in the top third or something. Sort of leave probably, what's that, about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the cake crumb cake, and pop that there. Okay. Again, similar as I did before, because I don't have a very good visual memory. I'm going to just pop a tiny bit of glue on the middle of that pine cone and pop it there. I'm going to bring the other things around it to bring in our the leaves there. And this one, now you have to be a little bit careful here, because if you imagine that you've got your card together, you've got that on the, you've got that bit stuck down there, and it closes there, and that closes there. This part here that hinges, if you put anything that sort of overlaps that too much, it's going to curl, it's going to bend every time you fold your card up. So what we need to do is actually make sure that all the decorations we do put on do not go over the top of that too far or at all. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to cut that around a bit to get it to just go in there, because I've already, as I said, stuck down my pine cone. I'm going to have to just cut this one down. Could bring your pine cone a bit further down, but I'm going to leave it as it is. So I really need to cut this one. So I want that bit and I want that bit. I'm going to have to cut that leaf off there. I'm going to have to hope that I can push that down into there far enough so that it doesn't overlap the edge. Oh, my son's home from work. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm just going to glue that one down. Must be getting late in the day if Benjamin's home from work and I'm still recording videos. Oops. Okay, so we've got that there. Then we're going to bring in the other bits and bobs. So we've got this one here. I'm going to pop that now, because it opens up like that. You can go over the edge of this one, no worries at all, because it's just going to go up into the air when it's opened. So we don't want to cover over our sentiment too much. So this one's going to have to go sort of there like that. I wonder if I can push that. I'll pop some glue on that. Now I can probably, if I grab that there and force that leaf up under there, that's better. And then it's nice and, yeah, so that one's going there. Okay, we've got two. Now we're going to bring in our pine needles. I'm going to pop one of them along the bottom there. Again, framing the sentiment. Right. I'm going to cover over the sentiment. Oops. My glue didn't stick. There we are. And the second one, pop this up along over the top. Again, don't want to overlap too far or it's going to curl every time that your card is opened. Like that. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in our second pine cone. Here we are. And again, like with the second card that we did, I'm going to grab a dimensional or two, maybe a bit of offcut. And put him sort of on the bottom there. There we are. So our two pine cones sort of look like they're overlapping each other a wee bit. I've got that spare leaf here that we didn't use, so I'm going to just trim him off and bring him bottom left-hand corner. So there's some detail there. Don't want to waste anything. And our berries. So there's not a lot of space on this little front. It's a little bit smaller. So the berries, there's 4 little berries in the bunch, and I'm going to actually just cut them apart. So cut them into 2s. So I'll take that one off the end. He seems to be out there on his own. And this little one obviously looks like he's just held on by his teeth. I've just got 2 little ones there. Bring them and the other two. If we're using Holly Jolly Christmas, we should have some holly. Well, these are holly berries anyway. I'll put the other one over here. Okay, so there is the front of our little gift card decorated. Nice. There's a little bit of a glue splodge there, but I'll bring my rubber in once we're finished. Bring my eraser in. There's the front of that one done. Okay, so all we need to do now is just pop the glue on the surface we decided was the back. There, the bit that faces the ground, and pop it centrally over the gap, over the what is it? The window that we cut in the card base in the designer series paper. Just make sure that's straight. Okay, here we are. So there's our gift card holder all done. Now, somebody who had received their card kit already said to me, "What have I got this piece for?" And you've got this piece because it was left over, and yours will obviously look like that card paper, not this one, but it's from the paper that I've used in your kit. It's left over, and as you guys know, I hate waste. So I've popped it into your kit, thinking you can do whatever you want with it. But I'm thinking I might pop it just on the bottom of that little white panel there, just to take a bit of the plainness out of it. I'm going to have to trim it down a wee bit. So as I mentioned, that is, how wide did I say it was? I can't remember how wide I said it. 3, I'll bring in my ruler. I think it's 3 3/4 long. Yeah, 3 3/4 long. So I want to trim this little piece of designer series paper down to 3 5/8. Just there. Just taking what's that, about 1/4 inch off the end. Bring in some glue. Now you can do this, you can stamp your berries. I'll show you what I've done on the original card just to show you the possibilities. But I just like that little piece of designer series paper just in there. Just sort of carries the whole theme from the sides and the back and the bottom into that little piece as well. I think that's really nice. It still leaves you plenty of room for your message or your extra greeting there. Okay, so there we are. So that's our third project. That's our gift card holder. I'll just show you a variation that I did with this original one that I designed. Make sure that's all I've got. So we've got our berries and our pine cones and things on the front with our greeting, exactly the same. Got our spare piece. Got our spare piece of designer series paper with our little envelope at the bottom there, and then I've popped some berries and some holly on the inside. So rather than pop that extra piece of cardstock in there that I did with the one I've showed you, just continuing with the stamping and the die cutting, and then you've got the holly inside, which is probably quite appropriate with the Holly Jolly Christmas on the front. But yeah, so just go mad, just do what you whatever the spirit moves you to do, and it's quite a handy little gift card holder. So you'll have a couple of envelopes for those as well, so you can give them this Christmas with some lovely vouchers in there. I know people sometimes think when they give a voucher that they've sort of taken the easy way out, but with a beautiful gift card holder like that, you know, it's going to be something that will be cherished all year long. Okay, so that is the third and final video for my November class. Apologies again, I am a little bit late with these videos, later than I would normally be, but with things happening in the family, it was tricky to get on to do the recordings last weekend, and today is the first chance I've had. So thanks for your patience. Hopefully you'll come back and do more classes with me next year in 2022. hoping to scale back my the rest of my outside work and concentrate on my craft in 2022, which will be really exciting. So anyway, I hope, thank you for your support so far, and I hope that I will continue to see you for my classes in the future. So thanks very much, guys, and yeah, I'll see you next time.